Hey friends, welcome back to Simply a Better You. Today I'm inviting you into my kitchen for Sunday supper. So today I will be making a beef stew, and if I have enough time, I'm going to try to make a cherry cobbler. Every Sunday, we get up, we do the same routine, we eat breakfast, we go to church, and we come home from church and we do our day-to-day things. Sunday is a day that we spend together as a family. So no matter what we're doing, whether we are out in the yard working in the yard, or we're working on a project at home, or we go and visit family, we're spending that time together. Sometimes it's just hanging out around the house. We don't always have something prepped and prepared to do, but that is one of Joe's only days off during the week. So it's usually a day where we're trying to get stuff caught up. So in the past, I've always taken Sunday off and not cooked. Sunday was like my day to rest. In Florida, the church that I attended, we were on a team that helped set up and tear down for our church. So we were usually there somewhere between 7 and 7:30, and we'd leave somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock, depending on what was going on at church. And they were very long days, so when I got home, I was exhausted. And I didn't want to do anything other than basically take a nap. That has changed since we moved here to Kentucky. And I still serve on a team at church, but our church is set up very different, and we don't have to set things up and tear things down, and we only have one service. So we're usually up and there by 9:30, and then we are home somewhere between 11 and 1. And that's because, we never really know how long church is going to be. We're usually always out by noon. But sometimes the Holy Spirit takes us someplace else, and church may run a little longer, and sometimes we get out sooner. So it just depends on what's going on. So I wanted to start taking some Sundays and sharing with you guys what I am cooking, what I'm making, and then also, good conversation around good food. And in that, share with you guys my faith. So I'm sure many of you know that our family is a Christian family, and we are by no means a perfect Christian family. Far from the truth. But we are Christians, and we choose to live a Christian life. And God is a part of our everyday life. So I just thought that I would start taking some Sundays and sharing with you guys good food, good conversation, and some faith. So for those of you who are usually here for gardening and food and mom life and homeschooling, and this isn't for you, that is perfectly okay. So you can join us back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our regular content when I am sharing more of that homesteading lifestyle. So, like I said, today we are going to be making up a homemade beef stew. This is something that I've made several times, and I don't have a recipe for you, but I can tell you there are tons of recipes online. A good beef stew, of course, includes some type of beef. Potatoes, onions, carrots, green beans. You can really put whatever vegetables you want in there. What I am trying to do today is pull what I have. There's no running to the store today. This is what I have on hand, and I'm going to throw it together. So I have some beef cubes, which is basically your stew meat. that I'm going to go ahead and brown and get it cooking. And I'm going to be cooking everything in my Dutch oven back here, which I have heating up. I need to turn off because I'm chatting. I'm going to go ahead and brown some meat and get that going. If you do not have beef cubes, you can chop up a chuck roast. You can use a steak if you want to chop up a steak, and you can also use ground beef in this. Those are what I call my poor man soup, where I make the stew, so you have all the vegetables and the tomato sauce and stuff like that in there, but I throw ground beef in it instead. So it's the poor man stew. But I've got my beef cubes, so I'm going to go ahead and start browning those, and I'm going to only be using this pan. So once that's done, I'm going to start throwing in the liquids we'll be using, the base to the stew, as well as the vegetables. We're going to be using up the bone broth that I made earlier. And if you guys want to know how to make delicious and nutritious bone broth, I will put a link in the corner up here that you guys can check out. I am also using some of my fresh tomato sauce and diced tomatoes. So these are tomatoes from our garden, as well as tomatoes that I purchased from the Amish store up the road that we've gone ahead and canned. We'll be putting in carrots, onions, potatoes, green beans from the garden, what little I could get. Oh, it's been a struggle with green beans this year. And I'm going to throw in some fresh corn that I got last year that I froze and put in the freezer. So that's basically what our beef stew is going to consist of. We have everything. A lot of it's homemade right here on our homestead, and it will taste delicious. So let's get in here. I'm dicing up my carrots right now. I'm going to get my garlic press. And I will tell you guys why I decided to start doing this. Now, I usually don't talk too much on my channel about my faith. It's something that's a little bit more private for me. I am by no means a pastor, but I have led several small groups in our church, as well as led quite a few of our teens. So talking about it at church and talking about it with people that I know is really easy to do. But talking about it in a space where hundreds and thousands of people can look at it who, vary in opinion, can be a little challenging. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to start doing this because it's been on my heart and it's been on my mind for a long time about coming to the table and sitting at the table. And it just keeps coming back to me over and over and over again. And several people have told me, Shannon, when God confirms something, just do it. He doesn't need to confirm it with you 100 times for you to start something. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this and move like he's asked me to move. So what is a better way to share a conversation about God or faith or, love and joy than to share it over food? Most of our conversations that we have with family and friends revolve around food. It happens in the kitchen, it happens at the table, it happens in the backyard when you're having a barbecue. So I thought, you know what? That's where I'm going to start. I'm going to invite you guys into my home and to my table to sit with us and enjoy good food, conversation, and Jesus. So let's go ahead and get the meat in here and get it going. I think I've shared with you guys before that we purchase our meat from either a local farmer up the road here or from Butcher Box. This particular meat is from that local farmer up the road. We just have a little bit left, and we did not get on the list to get another cow, so I've got to find one this fall so so we can refill our freezer. Good wash. We love when we can support a local farmer. And they are such sweet people. It's a husband and wife. They have a cute farm. I mean, when I drove up, it looks like your typical, country farm. Old farmhouse. They have another home that sets off in the back, which they live in. And they have your standard barn and the place where they keep the tractors and stuff. And I mean, it's just charming to look at when you drive up the driveway. But they are the sweetest couple, and they named their farm Blessed Acres. So they love that they can bless people by growing good food and raising good food on their farm. I seriously need to invest in a can opener, lid opener. Because even though they say don't reuse your canning lids, I do it anyways. Don't tell anyone. I do it anyways. But anywho, like I was saying, wonderful couple. We got a beef from them last year, and it's lasted us a good while. But in that, I've been substituting meat in from Butcher Box as well. So, but either way, good meat. I am browning this meat. You can also throw this in a crock pot if you want to let it sit and cook throughout the day versus, doing it this way. This is going to cook up a little bit quicker since I'm starting it later in the day. If you plan ahead of time, you can get this all set up in the morning before you go to church, and then when you get home, your beef stew should be done. And you can have it for lunch or for dinner. So we do eat earlier on Sundays, unless I start dinner a little later or I get caught up in something. So we got that going. To this, now it's up to you. You can remove your beef and start sauteing your vegetables, or you can throw it in there with them. I'm not going to tell you that there's a right or wrong way to do this. I am not a professional chef. I'm a mom. And I'm a mom who honestly does not like to do dishes. So to dirty another plate or a dish or something to put meat on and then throw it back in a pot doesn't sound appealing to me. I really want life to be easier. It's already challenging enough. And I think if I'm going to pick a battle today, it's going to be not as many dishes. It was so funny that, we were standing in church and our pastor's wife stood up. We had just finished, worshiping, and everybody was still standing and the music was playing in the background. And she got up and she's like, I just have to share this with you. I have to tell you this. And she started talking about coming to the table and that there is room at the table for everyone. There is room at the table with God. There is room at the table for everyone. It doesn't matter how bad you think you've been or how wrong you have done. There is always room at the table for you. And I was like, oh,
there she is, all up in my business again about the things that I know God has asked me to do and that I should be doing. And I smiled and I was like, okay, when I get home, I'm going to sit down and start making these videos because it just keeps coming up over and over again. But it always brings me joy to do something and to serve the Lord and serve the body of Christ. And it also brings me immense joy to feed my family and feed those around me. So when we have extra vegetables in our garden, when we have extra eggs and stuff, we have been just sharing them with people. Because, you know, we have abundance. We have been really blessed with such abundance that, I mean, how could you not want to share? I know everybody has told us, you know, you need to charge for your eggs, charge for, you know, the jam and the things that you're canning and prepping. And I may do that in the future when I'm doing it in larger quantities. Right now, it's pretty much what we just need for our family. When I decide I want to make a business out of it, it will be something different. But right now, I just want to share food. I just want to share. So I've just put some diced up carrots and onions in there, some garlic, about 3 cloves of garlic. You can do it to your liking. Some people like a really chunky stew. I love a chunky stew. I want like a bite of every vegetable in every bite. Some like a little bit more thicker or more runnier, you know, totally up to you how you want to do that. I'm just going to let them saute a little bit to soften up. It just speeds up the process. This is going to sit for a while, so you could just dump it all in and let it sit on the stove until everything's good and cooked. You can leave your skins on your potatoes or take them off. It's up to you. My girls do not like potato skins, so as soon as I find my peeler, I'm going to go ahead and take them off. It's not to their likings. I love potato skins, but so as I move forward with this, I'm not really sure how things are going to develop. I'll have to really sit and pray on it and kind of what to discuss or what to do. And these just might be a little bit more of those kind of free time of almost like a vlog where we're just kind of talking and discussing things while I'm doing something. But really today I just wanted to share with you that I will be posting on Sundays and sharing good food and some good conversation. Something a little different. Some days we might be out in the garden instead of in here cooking. Because that's where today started. I had to run out to the garden and see what I had for green beans. Because between the birds, the deers, and the bugs, we're not getting a whole lot of green beans this year. But I'm glad with what we have, because even a little bit is great. The few that I've pulled out so far have been so tasty. So tasty. This is another one of those great recipes that you can make a bunch of and freeze it keep it in your freezer and pull it out when you don't feel like cooking or you're sick, or a friend or a family member is sick. Our church will put together meal trains and visit family members that are sick, or if somebody's had a death in their family or a new baby. Those are probably my favorites, because then you get to go over and see the new baby, but also take food and help out mom with some laundry or getting dishes done. I remember being a new mom, and my mom actually lived with me for a month because honestly, I was afraid to be alone with her. I mean, my husband was home, but he worked, and I was there with her the majority of the time by myself. And they had just put me on a new blood pressure medication, and it made me so tired. I could not keep my eyes open. And then plus being sleep deprived with having a baby, it was rough. So she stayed with us for a while until I got the hang of things, helped with laundry, dishes, cooking, giving me time to take a shower. I never thought I would be so grateful for a shower. So having things ready and like prepped in your freezer, or something that's quick and easy to take over to a friend in need, is awesome to do. And green beans is one of those things. It's something easy. Even if you don't have it in your freezer, you can go and get canned green beans, frozen green beans, and put them in a pan with some chicken stock, vegetable stock, whatever you prefer, and cook those babies down until the green beans absorb all of that good juice, all of that flavor. And throw some bacon in there. Let those cook and simmer for usually about an hour. I just watch mine until all the liquid's gone, until they're nice and soft. And oh my goodness, they're so good. So, so good. And a lot of the times that's what people are looking for when they don't feel good, when you're sad, or when you're a tired mama. You just want some good comfort food. Just picks you back up. For those of you who do save your vegetable scraps, this is a good time. Save your vegetable scraps, throw them in the freezer in a freezer bag, and save them for broth. All of our broth I make at home. I no longer buy broth unless I completely run out and I need it for an emergency. But I keep all of my chicken bones, all my beef bones. You can also purchase bones from a butcher and save those and make bone broth. Save all your onion ends, your carrot ends. Anytime you are cutting up vegetables, save those things that you want to flavor your broth. You're going to strain it anyway, so you won't be munching down on onion skins, and it adds such a rich, deep flavor to your broth. So, and what's great is nothing goes to waste. I love when I can spend money on something, or know that I've put tons of time and energy into growing it, and know that I'm getting every little bit out of it. I'm not wasting any of it. I'm going to do my broth first. So we're going to get this stuff in here and let it start cooking. This is equivalent to about 4 cups of broth. I measured it out the other day. I was working on a recipe and it called for 4 cups of broth. I was making homemade tomato soup, and it was a completely different recipe. So I cleared off my table in the dining room that we've been shoving tomatoes over to one side or the other so we could sit down and eat. So I went ahead and finally chopped up all of those tomatoes and roasted them with some onions and some peppers from our garden, and made the best tomato soup I have ever had. I froze 2 quarts of it, and then the girls and Joe ate the rest. Amazing. I will probably never buy canned tomato soup again. I was so surprised at how well it came out. Little time consuming. I had to roast the tomatoes and the vegetables in batches because I didn't want to use both ovens. And so I was just using my small one, so I had to do it in batches, and it did take a while to get everything going. And then I did not de-seed or de-skin the tomatoes, so I ran them through the mill once I got everything cooked in the pan and had blended everything down. I ran it through the mill to get all the bigger chunks out, and it took a little while to do. So with this, we are going to let this sit and cook. Let me go ahead and throw my herbs in. Definitely going to plant oregano next year. I use so much oregano. But we are going to pull out some of our fresh thyme and fresh rosemary. So I've got a jar of fresh, this is English and lemon thyme. I just put them both in the same container. And then this is fresh rosemary. Of course I have to smell it. Fresh herbs. Don't you love when you can smell something and it brings a smile to your face? There's always memories that are attached to a smell. And I just love to smell my herbs, and it takes me back to my grandmother's kitchen. She was a good cook. She was an amazing cook. Not just good, she was amazing. Her kitchen always smelled amazing. She was always cooking something. She cooked a lot of things from scratch. And a lot of things, we're going to say semi-homemade. She would use the Bisquick. She knew how to make homemade biscuits, but she would use the Bisquick. And then she would cut corners here and there. She had a big family to feed, so I can totally understand why she would substitute some things here and there. I do the same thing where I can do some quick and convenient stuff. But, I mean, wow. Her kitchen's always smelled good. She always had something cooking. She did homemade meals. My grandma and I had so much in common. She was one of my best friends. She was the mom to me when my mom had to work. My mom had to work a lot, you know. And Grandma always had me at her house. I spent a lot of time with Grandma. She taught me how to cook and taught me how to take care of a garden. She taught me some patience. That woman had a lot of patience. She taught me what it was to be a fearful, good mother. There was a lot of battles that she had to fight, and some that she had to choose to fight. We don't always agree with our children. Sometimes we have to let them go and make the mistake for them to learn. So, Grandma taught me quite a bit. Oh, look, I got another potato, but I think one potato was enough. Let me stir this and see what we get. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard me say in the past, I am allergic. I have a food intolerance to potatoes. they cause intestinal problems, but my family can eat them. I didn't have sweet potatoes to put in this, otherwise I would have done sweet potatoes. So when I sit down to eat this, I'll have to pick the potatoes out. But that's okay. I've gotten used to that over the years, having to go through and pick the stuff out I can't eat. Oh, I love a good stew. And this is the perfect time to make it right now. We have had like lows in the 50s and highs in the mid to upper 70s. We've been able to keep the house opened up, finally turn off the air conditioners and save some money. But there's just, well, you guys know what I'm talking about. There's something different when the seasons change. First we can't wait until spring gets here so we can get out of the winter, and then winter's gone and we're loving spring, and then we can't wait until summer's gone because it's so hot, and then fall gets here, and fall is my season. I love fall. It's beautiful, and it's cool and crisp outside. I think it's the food probably that I love the most. The food, all the family events that start coming up. I mean, it's my favorite time of year. I love Thanksgiving. I love that we do more barbecues in the fall because the weather is so awesome outside. The garden's finally done and we're putting it to bed. Making our plans for next year, but I feel like fall is my resting season. You spend spring and summer planting and harvesting and running like crazy to get all this stuff done. You're constantly mowing the lawn and you're taking care of animals, and there's school and there's summer events and extracurricular activities, and fall I feel like is my resting season. And then everything starts to get busy towards the end of November and into December because Christmas time and events, and there's usually tons of plays and things that are there to be done. And you're visiting family and getting all your shopping done. And it just kind of picks up that little bit before you're dumped into winter and it's cold and you don't want to do anything or leave your house, and you're constantly bundled up in wool socks and multiple layers of clothing. But fall has always been such a season of rest for me, and it's beautiful in the process. I love orange and yellow colors and teal, and I can look out my window and see all that beautiful color out there that's changing, and it smells good, it feels good, the food tastes good. I love fall. So what's your guys' favorite season? I know I've got a few friends that love summer. I think they're totally nuts. I'm like, how can you love summer? It's so hot. But, okay. I'm going to clean up my area here, get things situated, let this cook on the back. I have it set to simmer. It might get a little noisy in the background. My neighbor, it looks like he's baling hay. They just cut the field 2 or 3 days ago. It might have been more than that, but they had cut the field in the back of us and they let it dry. And then they come back and bale it. So they're obviously doing that today. I think, they're doing the same thing most of us do. We run all week long. We work, we come home, We eat, sleep, get up, and do the same process again. And then the weekends become another run process of getting everything done that we couldn't get done during the week. And we're always exhausted. We never take time to sit and really rest and have that time to yourselves to reflect and think and be with your family and be with yourself and be with the Lord. We get so caught up and busy in our day-to-day life and what we're doing and trying to accomplish to survive. You know, we have to work to make money to keep a roof over your head. Important things start to get put to the side. We don't eat at the table anymore. Families don't sit down and eat. We eat in front of a television. Those are the families that are able to actually eat at home. And then there's that season of life where you're finishing up school, everybody's coming home, you're climbing back in the car and you're running to do baseball practice, football practice, cheerleading practice, you know, band, practice for musicals and all these crazy things. You're just run. There's appointments there after school. There's, you know, things that you're helping other people do. And I just feel like we're so caught up in the pace of life, we don't take time for ourselves anymore, for our actual core family at home, and for the Lord. I'm guilty of it myself, where I will get up and immediately start my day. I'll go throw in a load of laundry. I'll wash whatever dishes are in the sink. I get their schoolwork kind of laid out and prepped, and make myself a cup of coffee, some tea, and I sit down, and I've totally bypassed everything that I was actually supposed to do. Which, when I've established a good habit, I get up in the morning, I wake up, I pray, I go and get some tea, and then I sit down for a half hour, and God gets that half hour. That's the first and most important thing of my day. And when I do that, my days go so much better. I feel like I am more energetic and my thought process is clearer, and that I handle things better. I approach things more kindly. I speak to my children, not just with more kindness, but more understanding and clarity. So, you know, it's easier for me to look at a problem or when they're being crazy and say, hey, wait a second, that's not how we act in our house. Tell me how we act and what do we really need to do? Instead of just screaming, stop it, knock it off. Why are you doing that? You know better. I just seem to be much more even-tempered on those days when I spend my very first moments with the Lord before I jump in and start doing all the craziness that is around me. And it makes perfect sense. If we woke up in the morning and we had time for peace and aligning ourselves in calmness and quietness and strength and courage and guidance, if we had started there in the beginning of the day, why wouldn't our day go better? Instead of jumping into the chaos of life. It makes sense. I don't know why I don't do the latter over the other, but it's easy to get lost in the world and do the world first and put the Lord to the side. Definitely guilty of that. So I am going to let this sit on the stove back here and simmer and cook. You can put a lid over it if you want. I kind of let mine sit to help evaporate some of the liquid and thicken up some, but it's going to be cooking for a while. Salt to taste, pepper to taste, oregano, thyme, rosemary, basil, whatever you like to add to your stew, and then pepper. I'm going to put a little splash of balsamic vinegar in there when it starts to cook down a little bit more. I like a more, I don't know what you want to say, not tangy. It doesn't make it tangy. It adds something to it. It's not tangy. but having that little bit of that acidicness to it, it does something to the tomatoes. Yeah, it kicks it up a notch, and I like that. So I'm gonna let this cook down. I forgot to throw my corn in there. They're kind of frozen in chunks. I've been trying to use this up. This is my last bag. So I'm gonna throw a few of these chunks in here. I'm gonna let this cook down for a little while. I wanted to show it to you so you can get an idea of just the consistency it's at right now, and then all the colors. Okay, the beef stew is thickening up. So I am working on my cobbler. We're going to use up the fresh cherries that we canned. And I've got about 2/3 a cup of sugar, about 2/3 cups of sugar. I'm gonna put some lemon juice in there, vanilla extract, a little bit of almond extract, and about 4 cups of fresh cherries. I may go a little less on that. We'll see how this kind of comes together. And then we're gonna put a little bit of cornstarch in there. I'm just now starting to run out of everything. It's just that time of year. I'm completely out of sugar. And that 25-pound bag, I think we got that in January of this year, and maybe November. I'll have to go back and look at my Azure haul videos and see when I picked that up. It may have been in November, and we're just now running out. So we got that on the stove cooking. I'll include this recipe in the description down below because this isn't my recipe. Everything's still a mess in the kitchen from me cooking the other day. I think I'm going to do this separate. Got 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and they said to up it 1 if I use frozen cherries, but I don't know, 2 just seems like a lot. I'm not a huge fan of cornstarch. But we're going to get this going and assemble. The stew has really thickened up back here. And we're going to get our cobbler going and in the oven, so we should be sitting down to dinner about 4 o'clock, which I know my stomach will be grateful for. Gives everything time to digest before bed so it doesn't cause heartburn later. Okay, so you can see the stew is really starting to thicken up. Everything's starting to soften up. And you can add your seasonings to taste. If it doesn't have enough salt or pepper, go ahead and adjust as needed. I've got the cherries cooking back here. Oven is preheating. So the oven's preheating. I am mixing up, this is the flour, sugar, baking soda, flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, and milk. This is the batter that is going to go on top of the cherries, or vice versa. You can put the cherries at the bottom and then put this on top, or flip it. It doesn't matter. I've seen it done both ways. But I think these specific instructions, the cherries go in the bottom over the melted butter, and then the batter goes on top. What does she want us to do with these? Batter, then cherries on top. And the batter's supposed to rise up in between it. Okay. So that's what we'll do. Follow the instructions. All right. So we got that done, ready to go. We're gonna pop this in the oven and melt it. And dinner should be ready in like, what? Spoon cherry, softener, sprinkle over top and bake 40 to 45 minutes. So I can put a lid on this, turn this off. I mean, it's been sitting on simmering, but it's ready to go. It'll stay warm. And the best thing about stew and soup is you can always reheat it. So that's good to go. We'll get this in the oven and get the butter melted, and then it will be baking while we are enjoying dinner. And then we should be done. If I plan ahead, it's always nice to serve fresh baked bread with stew or soup. I mean, especially in the fall, but then again, fresh baked bread is good anytime. So I did not plan for that today. So I've got sliced bread from the store. That's just what we're gonna do. It's easy and simple. And that'll go with our stew. And then of course we have our cobbler, and we will sit down and enjoy dinner. All right, let's pull this out. Oh. I swear anything that starts with butter is always good. Okay, so it was filling in, and then we are putting the cherries on top. Oh, did you find eggs? Go ahead and put them up in the thing. The basket's up there, so. Hannah is our wonderful chicken tender. She takes good care of her chickens. All right. Sunday is also our coop clean out day. That's how I remember to clean out the coop, is just do it every Sunday. Okay, so we're gonna do this. I'll try not to burn myself in the process. Now, I was supposed to half these cherries. I did not. Is that a cherry pit? Oh, that is a cherry pit. That cannot stay in. The last thing I need is somebody to break a tooth. So we're gonna pour these on top. These were the fresh cherries that we got from Azure. I had to think about where did these come from? But these were the cherries we got from Azure, and we spent the day pitting them. We freeze some, dehydrated some, and then canned up the rest. They are amazing. The juice, oh my gosh, the juice is so good. We've really been enjoying the frozen ones. Those are my favorite, are the frozen ones. I love frozen fruit. And when I can, is that a cherry? No, that's not a pit. When I can, I'm gonna make a syrup out of this that's left over. When it's super hot outside and I just want something cold, cherries, throw them in your juice, throw them in some water. They work great. Frozen cherries work great as ice cubes, or just eat them straight out of the bag. Yum. Yum, yum. Okay. Let's get this in and let this bake up. We're going to use our apron to assist. So 40 to 45 minutes for that. So we're going to let that bake while we are sitting and enjoying dinner before we sit down and enjoy dessert. One biscuit left. So it's over there. It's in the plastic bag.
You can't.
Can you grab me one more bowl?
That's not cherry cobbler.
Can you grab me another bowl? The cherry cobbler's for afterwards. Can you grab me another bowl,
Oh.
please? And 3 spoons.
That's why I smell like cookies. Sometimes smells really good in here.
Been cooking all day.
What's for dessert?
Cherry cobbler.
Is it in the fridge?
It's in the oven.
Oh man, that looks good.
All right, girls, let's have a seat at the table. Doesn't that look good? I'm gonna call it done. I think I had more cherry than I did the cobbler bake, but it still looks good. I just wish I had vanilla ice cream. Heavenly Father, thank you for this food before us, Father. Thank you for your provisions, for our family, friends, for the blessings that you give us each and every day. In Jesus' name, amen. So friends, thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. I'm so blessed that you got to come and spend this time with me and our family. So guys, thank you for joining me on my journey, and I bless you on yours.